Hi, it's June 29th, Monday morning, and we're on block 29 of June Mini Madness. So this is our next to the last block, and I think it might be a little challenging, but it's definitely worth tackling. This block is a 16 patch star. We're going to make a mini 16 patch unit that goes in the center of our variable star. And we're going to make our star like we did yesterday's flying geese. We're going to do the same technique. So you'll need to cut a 2 3/4 inch square, 4 1 1/4 inch squares of your background, and 1 7/8 inch strip of your background. Then you will need 4 1 5/8 inch squares of your primary fabric for the star points, and a 7/8 by 10 inch strip of your secondary fabric for your checkerboard. So you're going to sew your two strips for your checkerboard together and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you're going to want to trim your seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch to help reduce the bulk in this block. We're going to cut this long strip in half. And then we are going to sew it together with a 1/4 inch seam again to make a longer strip. So you are going to trim this up, press the seam. We're going to press all the seams going the same direction for this block. And so then this strip should measure 2 inches across, which it does. So that means we're on track. So I'm going to press this, trim the seam, press it, and cut it into 4 7/8 inch strips, and then we'll be back to assemble the center. Now that we've got our 4 strips cut, all we have to do is sew them together, matching up the seams and making sure they alternate between your background and your secondary fabric at the top. So if you're making a 6-inch block, the center square you are making right now is the checkerboard block in miniature that we made earlier on this adventure. There's our little mini center block. So I'll trim up all these seams to 1/8 of an inch and then just press them in one direction, and that center will be ready to go in our block, and I will do that when I press the next step of this. So this is going to go together just like yesterday's flying geese. Alright, so you're going to lay those right across your block. Get them matched up really nicely. I like to pin at least the bottom one to keep it from shifting out of its location. I'll go cut these, press them, and press this, and I will be right back. Look at the nice center for our block there, and it measures pretty nice 2 inches there. So that's all ready to go. You can see how I've just trimmed and pressed those seams to one side. So now we'll add the last 2 pieces for our flying geese blocks. I sewed that one using the other side of my 1/4 inch, my foot, which this foot is about a 1/4 inch on both sides. It's a little bit short, but that's okay. Better short than too long, right? Oops, let's see, where am I at? I want to sew that way. Sheesh, you can tell it's Monday. I've actually had to make that checkerboard twice. The first time I made one, it was way too small. So I realized it about halfway in and had to start over. And I did not trim down those first seams. I forgot. So I think it might be a little too late now, but I'll trim these down a bit. My blocks are going to be a little lopsided because they're already stitched up there. We'll see. If I don't like it, it's no big deal to make another set because they, you know, it's just little pieces of fabric, so it's not like you're wasting a whole ton if you don't like your first result, which is nice. Okay, I'm going to go press those and then we'll go on to assembling our block. All right, now we're ready to assemble our block. This time, make sure to put your flying geese units with your points facing out and your geese facing in. So you're going to want to try to match up this point with the seam in your block, but if it's not perfect, don't fret too much. Pretty good. We're going to press the bottom seam up and the top seam down because that checkerboard makes for a very bulky little seam there. Looking good. And there it is. This is a 16 patch star, and it is our 29th block in June Mini Madness. I will see you tomorrow for our final block. Bye.